welcome back to another episode of Healing Our Community with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean.
And I'm Ainsley.
And we have Ainsley with us today.
We have our granddaughter with us. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Do you watch the podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm at my house.
When you're at your house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so she's in town today, and she wanted to join us on the podcast, which is very exciting, right?
Very fun.
Yeah, and so this podcast, Healing Our Community, was designed to engage in conversation and real talk about mental health, and specifically how mental health affects or is affected in Delta County and the Western Slope. So today's episode, we're talking about regrets and resentments.
Yeah, and before we do that, I just want to give a little shout out to all the kids that have put some animals in the county fair, which we're going to go check out in a little bit.
Yeah,
Good luck.
this week, Delta County Fair and Rodeo, guys, go check it out. We absolutely love it. Every year we love going. What is that?
No. Not right now, girl. Here, can you sit closer? Like, oh, this guy buzzes. Okay, go ahead. Let's
Okay, so we're talking about regrets and resentments and how regrets and resentments drain your present tense, right? And just staying in the moment. So we have to kind of define regrets and resentments. Regrets typically are, it's pain inward, or considered
It's something
pain inward.
you've done.
Right, it's internalized shame, like I should have known better,
Yeah.
right? It does trap you. You know, regrets, I like to think of them as like big rocks that you carry around in a knapsack. You just keep, dragging this around, and it traps you in old choices.
Yeah, a lot of times what we have regret about is a lie. It's something someone else taught us that really, there is real regrets, right?
Sure.
But a lot of times we think about things too much and we regret things that are actually fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And resentments, the difference there is that's pain outward.
Yes.
Regrets, pain, you don't want to lick the countertop.
That is something that has happened to you that you don't like.
Yeah, it's externalize bitterness. So it's like at someone else. They shouldn't have done that to me.
No.
And resentments, they corrode
No.
relationships,
Yes.
right? It just totally corrodes it.
It's hardened anger.
Right. So there's...
Rocks.
You want to get down?
No, you get me rocks.
As soon as the
Yeah,
podcast is over,
when
we'll
the
get you rocks,
podcast
okay?
is over.
I'm going to help you jump down. Okay?
Why?
Because you're falling. Or you want to come here? Okay. I don't want to have any regrets about her falling.
That's right. It is a
about that.
reminder. This podcast is live every Wednesday at 12:15. So this is happening real time here. If you
Yeah,
guys
your
have
parents
any,
are here. Our daughter-in-law's
my folks
here.
are in town.
Miss Ainsley
Daughter-in-law's in
Hope-Zender's
town.
here. So we're playing
And
it live.
if you have any questions or comments, while we are on the show, if you have any questions for Ainsley, I'm sure she'd be more than willing to answer some of those questions. Just put it in the comments section if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube. There's a little comment section. Okay, so back onto resentments and regrets. There's that poison analogy that your dad always used to say.
I'll take the poison and hope you die.
Right. And so you're drinking the poison, expecting other people to suffer, that they move on. You carry the burn. That's the resentment here, that you are holding on to that bitterness.
It's such a big part of our lives because we don't really have really healthy ways to resolve things and to work through things. But resentments don't require you to work through them with anybody else. And when you look at resentments from that really, really big picture about, what is this life on this planet about? And are we just a fluke of something and nothing matters? Or are we on purpose and everything matters? And if everything matters, then what you feel resentment about is what I like to call fertilizer.
Mama.
And fertilizer, you know what that's made of, and it
Yeah.
can either help you grow or you can sit in it and stink. Yes, girl.
Mama.
Deborah just said, looks like a lot of fun is going on today for Grandpa's birthday. Yes, it is. A lot of fun. We're having
wanna
a lot
hop
of
down?
fun.
If you're going to swivel, you got to hop down.
Yeah, because we don't want you to fall off the stool.
So it's a great arrow of the direction of where your life needs healing is where you have resentment. And I started doing this exercise with people.
No, Gemma.
Hold on a second, baby. Okay. I started doing this exercise with people because I was working with someone who was in the 12-step program, AA, and she brought in her list of resentments. And her list of resentments just sounded like she was complaining, like she really didn't get it about what she should do with that. Oh, I'm getting some good love here. And in front of it, I had her put, I allowed. So, she might say, I resent that my boyfriend doesn't do anything around the house. I allow my boyfriend not to do anything around the house. And this reframing, and some of this is difficult because it's a way bigger picture and doesn't sound really fair, and you ought to be careful about shaming yourself when you do this. But it's really about the reason that I allow my boyfriend to not do anything around the house is to learn. And you finish that sentence with something, and it usually has something to do with self-esteem and boundaries, that we tolerate these bad behaviors from other people because we don't set boundaries.
Right. And, resentments are created when we say yes, when we really mean no. And that creates resentments and future resentments.
Rocks.
And reframing it makes you take personal responsibility. And we've talked about personal responsibility in past podcasts there. Another way to build resentments or create resentments is expecting other people to read your mind, right? It's like, you should know what I want, or you should know, who I am, and that are my expectations. That just creates these silent grudges, that you hold on to, and that builds that resentment.
I remember this one woman, she had just gotten married, and they got married very quickly, and she didn't know her husband's friends. And one of his friends called the house and said, "Hey, how you doing?" to the friend. And she felt offended that he didn't say hi to her because she lives in the house, which he would have no idea.
Yeah.
And she cut him off instantly. She hadn't even met him yet. But we have these unrealistic expectations that other people don't know about. And so what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Another
thing to keep in mind is the physical toll that resentments have on our body, because it keeps us in this fight or flight type of state, right? Which then gives us the cortisol spike. We feel exhausted, we get bad sleep, we just keep running in our mind over and over and over again about this bitterness and resentment that we have, and so it takes a physical toll on us.
And I think there's a difference between how men and women experience regret and resentment, because girls are socialized to not be angry. And so they tend to feel more regret because they believe that if something goes wrong, it's their fault, and they shouldn't feel angry and shouldn't blame other people for that. And on the other side of that, men tend to do more blaming and taking less personal responsibility. So kind of when we're working with people, we have to correct that imbalance.
Yeah,
Drinks and rocks.
Would you like to get down and get those? Okay, let me help you down. Okay, give me your hands. Ooh. Ray, I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Give me your other hand there. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, Mama,
Okay.
Mama, get that for you. Okay.
All right. Yeah, thank you to our guest, Ms. Ainsley, for joining us today. And, back to resentments and regrets. Regrets are...
The biggest boulders in your life.
And it's shame. It's really shame-based. I am defective. I am a mistake. It's labeling. And
Right.
it
If you
keeps you
feel
stuck.
guilt, you say, I did something that I know is wrong. But it's a verb of doing. Shame is a verb of being. I don't belong. I am not worthy.
Yeah. So, what can you do about resentments? We're talking about the physical toll, there's an emotional toll. It erodes relationships, right? It just keeps you stuck in this bitterness, right? And then you have regrets where it keeps you in shame. You're self-punishing and keeping you in this place of not learning and growing, but staying stuck.
Right.
Right. So it's a very debilitating place to be. Whether you have the bitterness of resentment or whether you have that shame of regret.
And sometimes this stuff like sneaks up on you. Like you just have this yucky feeling, and then your mind starts trying to make that feeling make sense. And you start to regret, like, oh, I did this, or I shouldn't have said that, or I don't like that this person did this thing, and you resent them for that. And we kind of get stuck in these patterns. And if you write out a list of resentments, what you're going to find is a pattern. There's a definite pattern that's been happening your whole life of something that is coming up for healing.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people, maybe they have poor boundaries and everyone's doing the same type of thing to them. They just can't count on somebody, right? Somebody else might have, I don't know, I can't think of other ones now. But there's definitely a theme. So, I like people to write at least 25. So if you write your list of 25 resentments, you'll start to see a theme. So if there's a theme, that means you're trying to learn something. So as children, our lessons get set up for us because all of us have human parents who are not perfect. And then we will find partners to try to heal that with.
Yeah.
And that's where your resentment list comes from. And, a lot of times people say, well, what do they say? Forgive, but I won't forget.
Right.
Or I'm going to bury the hatchet, but leave the handle sticking out.
Right.
So unresolved resentment looks like that. Unresolved resentment, you haven't learned what it's trying to teach you, so you will get that lesson again and again and again until you learn it.
Right. So it's important to redefine forgiveness, right? Because people think they're forgiving, but really they're not.
No.
Right. And that's the only way to release resentment is the path to forgiveness.
So it sounds kind of counterintuitive to say this, but until you find gratitude for your resentment, you can't forgive.
Yes, right.
You have to be able to say, I'm grateful that I went through that experience because it's helped me become who I am today in a really positive way because I learned that lesson.
I'm grateful that that person who hurt me came into my life.
Right.
That is probably the most difficult thing to do. But you could see that if you could find that gratitude, then you are going to take responsibility for your own feelings, your own emotions that you are saddling yourself with. It's not excusing the behavior of the other person.
Right.
Okay? And you don't necessarily have to have a relationship with that person.
Forgiveness doesn't say what happened was okay. It says, I'm no longer going to allow this to have power over me.
Right. Yeah. I am not going to let that bitterness, invade me and affect me.
Right.
Right. And so that is a really hard thing to do. And when we do guide clients through that, releasing that resentment, finding gratitude for the difficult things and difficult people that they've had in their life, it is a freeing experience if they can get there.
One of the things I want to say about this concept of gratitude for people hurting you, which doesn't sound really fair, right? And so a long time ago, I was working with this woman who was pretty severely abused as a child. And she said to me, do you mean to tell me there's a reason that my dad did all those things to me? And I said to her, well, think about it like this. What if there's no reason? What if there's no point to all this pain and suffering that you've experienced? And to me, that's really sad and depressing. I hope there's a point. I hope we can learn from all of the things that have hurt us in this lifetime, and that there is an opportunity of healing and growth through that, and not just we're here to suffer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a very depressing place to be.
Yeah.
Right. If you can't find a reason behind the difficult things you go through and the hurt and pain that you experience in relationships.
And it sounds logical because we think we're protecting ourselves with our resentment, that if I stay in this anger, if I stay in this resentment, else is going to hurt me.
Yeah.
It's such a lie. That is such a lie.
Completely a lie. And it seems like that's,
Yeah.
protective in
Right,
nature.
right.
If I stay on guard and I protect myself and I keep myself in that place, then I'm going to prevent being hurt or
Right.
prevent that pain from coming in. Absolutely not.
It just locks you in with it.
You cannot prevent any type of pain or emotional pain that is created in relationships.
Right.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen. People are going to let us down. People are going to hurt us. That's just the nature of being in a relationship. Now, you are in control of whether you're going to turn that into bitterness and resentment, and you're going to turn your behavior or lack of into a regret.
Right.
And hold on to that. You are, again, carrying that knapsack full of those heavy rocks of regret and resentment. That is up to you to let go of.
One of the interesting things that I kind of contemplated when my brother passed away 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago, he passed away, and I thought, what happens to all the pain he caused in the world? Like, his injustices towards me, he's gone. Do I carry that around? I kind of have been a lot into the forgiveness place,
Thank
but
you,
that's
Deborah.
an interesting concept, right? When someone passes and you still have the anger, resentment, you can see it's 100% on you.
Yeah, for sure.
But that person's not even here anymore.
Right.
And you don't need them to heal.
And
you do not need other people to heal.
we've worked with clients who a person had passed 10, 15 years and they still hold
Yeah.
on to this anger towards the person and bitterness towards.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that cost you, right? On a daily basis, you're the one, again, is taking the poison, hoping the other person is going to suffer, right? And that is something that we all individually have control over, whether we are going to create our own suffering or whether we are going to learn to release that.
Oh, I like this analogy of pain and suffering. So your hand is in the fire, it's burning.
Yeah.
It hurts. You're in pain. Right? And then you say, hey, I'm in pain. Somebody help me. And someone says, take your hand out of the fire. And you say, no, I don't want to change. I just don't want my pain to be there anymore. That's suffering. That's choosing.
Right.
So pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional.
That is true. That is true. Well, anything else we want to say about
we're good.
regret and resentment?
It's really difficult to work through. It really helps to have other people. This is why, like that client I was working with that was an A, had a sponsor to work through this stuff. It's very difficult when it's tangled up in our own heads because it sounds so logical. But it really is an interesting thing to try to untangle inside yourself.
And as we've mentioned before, it seems like it's protective in nature. You're trying to keep yourself safe because of the pain you've experienced. And as we said also, there is no way for you to prevent that from happening. We
Right.
cannot prevent pain from happening to us. The thing that we can prevent or control is how we react to it and how it's going to affect us.
Yeah, are you going to get over this in 7 years? Are you going to get over it in 7 months? Are you going to get over it in 7 days or 7 minutes?
Yeah.
That's what we have control over.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us on our podcast today. Again, this podcast is designed to strike up real conversations about mental health, all aspects of it. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions on future topics, please, let us know. Drop us a line. If you want to learn more about KBH Center in Delta, you can look us up at kbhcenter.org. We can't really create any change without having real conversations, Gene.
That's true, Ray.
So let's keep talking, Delta County.